What's going on, guys? We're on part 5. Snakes and Arrows. Backstage Secrets. Ooh. Concert tech documentary. Seeing what it takes for these guys to put on a show. Plus bonus bus tour. This is like random bus tour within there also. All right, let's get to this. Part 5. Bam.
Really not right. The way the computer works is it shows me some things that it kind of filters out the reflections in the room. And from now, I'm going to try to ignore the things that I know are anomalies of the room that are reflections, because those things tend to go away when the place is full of people.
Right.
Because people absorb the sound, as opposed to now, it's all plastic seats and glass and hard surfaces. But the fact is, again, it's an educated guess till the show starts. I mean, we'll take our best educated guess, make a lot of powerful measuring tools, but it's a very chaotic system, and it's hard to predict exactly what's going to happen, at least in an afternoon. Most of what we're reading is the frequency response of this system in this room, which is actually pretty good today. Lucky us. So, what we have now is we're going to play back the band playing Subdivisions at the last show. So Subdivisions is one song that sort of has all the elements. That is drums, guitar, bass, and then keyboards, which is sort of overarching everybody, whoever plays back a sample at any point during the show. And then I have my dB meter. So we run this up until it's show volume, which is, in this case, for these guys, 102 dB. Let's see what that sounds like. So we'll turn this up, and then we'll go in here, and we'll go through each section of the PA. This is the top part of the PA, this is the middle part of the PA, the bottom of the PA, front fills. We have all these modules to the side. Each time we open one up, you can see there's a place to do EQ on it here. And we'll walk around the whole room and tune the PA, each section of the PA, to the band playing Subdivision. We just take it to the point where instead of, bass and treble, we've got, pretty much every frequency from the lowest you can hear to actually even above what you can hear. So we can control that a lot more fine level and in different parts of the room. But it's still just bass and treble.
Wonder how many times he's got to play through the song until he's finished.
Okay. Give that a shot.
4 hours. 4 hours.
I went to college to learn how to do that, We spent approximately a month in a rehearsal studio here in Toronto in April and May. The band, learning the songs. People may not realize the band has to learn the songs. And also, while concurrent with that, Brent and I making the presets for the mix, which is pretty much done in about 3 weeks or so. After that, we bring the band into a small arena, put the PA up, and then there's some further refinement. Obviously, that's a little different than listening to it on small speakers in a small room. And so the whole process for this band, 6 to 7 weeks, more or less. Some bands can knock it out more quickly, but this is complicated. What these guys are doing is complicated. There's a lot of, bass player playing keyboards, and the guitar player is also playing pedals, and Neil's got all kinds of little sample things that he hits and triggers, and it's not quite like 5 guys chunking out guitar chords.
Okay, Jack. As the monitor guy, usually about 90% of my job is listening to the lead singer's ear monitor mix and making sure, above all, the vocal can be heard. To be quite honest, monitoring is sometimes it can be a little tedious because I don't get to listen to what I want to listen to. I have to listen to what they want to hear, and I don't get to make choices for me, and even Brad, to a point, gets to decide at front of house how loud the kick drum is, what's the tonality of the bass guitar, how much high end to put on the guitars, how loud to make the vocal. He gets to make those kind of artistic decisions, and I really don't.
No.
I get to make sure that
service
Alex
of the people
and
on
Ged
the
and Neil
stage
can hear themselves and all the elements of our show that they need to perform the show.
Yep.
Each guy hears pretty dramatically different things. Alex predominantly takes a big guitar-driven rock mix, just big loud drums and loud vocals and loud guitars especially. Geddy takes a little more demure mix that's got a little bit of everything in it, all the foot samples and the keyboards and the guitars, everything is there, but it's a lot lower, and it's not nearly as heavily guitar driven as Alex's. And Neil pretty much is just drums and anything that is a timing reference. Anytime there's a rhythmic sequence, such as in like the pianos at the end of Spirit of Radio, anything that's a rhythmic sequence where it has to be kept time to, he has to hear that to make sure that he's spot on with the samples. Because this band, unlike some bands, I'm not going to say any names, but some like other bands I've worked for, do not use a click track of any kind. All their timing is done based on what they're playing with each other and what they can hear from the samples. That's a pretty tall spot on the talent ladder to reach, really, to play the complicated patterns that they do and the way they play together without any kind of click or any kind of constant timing reference really requires a good bit of talent, more than most bands I've ever worked for.
Still ahead, we check out the Soundcheck.
Cool. Three and a half hours.
During the course of the day, I do this twice. Each of the guys in the band wears a set of these in their ears, just like I do. And during the 3.5 hours of the show and the half hour of sound check or whatever, they stick them in their ears and they get nasty because your ears do nasty things sometimes. So anyway, I take these little cleaning cloths and wipe the sketches.
That's technical.
Little cleaning cloths, and just clean the ear monitors like this so that they're nice and sterile and clean when they put them in their ears. And just in case one of them might have an ear fungus or an ear infection or something, I try to prevent that, because an ear infection means Rockstar not happy, which means Brent not happy, which means nobody happy. So we do what we can to keep things like this clean and sanitary as much as we can and deliver them to our musicians and keep them happy and clean and healthy. During the course of the show, you can see that each song has multiple snapshots. On this console, it's called a snapshot. And that's the beginning of the show. And For instance, at the beginning of Limelight, Alex comes in with the loud guitar, the guitar riff we all know and love, dun 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 dun, and he goes through that 4 times. Neil needs to hear that for his timing reference, to be able to click in with what they're doing together. But then after that section is over, Neil doesn't really want to hear the rest of the guitar, the rhythm guitar, the whole time. He didn't want to hear it as loud anyway. So I hit this button,
so they just,
and it goes to the second snapshot I have for Limelight, which then turns the guitar down.
Wow, these cuts are terrible. Why would you cut the middle of like a topic, a point, this guy talking about? Ugh, it's terrible. Anyways, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's all automated, you know, like you set it and you automate it and you're good, right? Maybe small adjustments here and there, especially during the first, you know, like show, couple of shows, whatever. It's all set. Yeah, I mean, the monitor guy really, you know, really, he's talking about the creative freedom. Yeah, he doesn't get any. He doesn't get any because he's there at service of the musicians. I mean, everybody is there at service, right? Everybody, even the guys, you know, even the Rush guys, right? It's a service, right? You're, you know, entertainment as a service, basically. You're entertaining all these people. But like these guys work for the band, you know, and need to make sure that the band is happy with what they're hearing so that they can perform their service for the audience, right? It's all like this big ecosystem. Right? This big thing that has to work together in order to make the one night go off great, you know, as well as possible. So yeah, it's interesting that like Neil doesn't, and I've heard that before, Neil like doesn't basically want anything. He just wants to hear himself. It's because he's not improvisational. He's very compositional or whatever, however he puts it or whatever. He basically, you know, like can do the whole show, his whole part in the show, just like he could just do it probably the same or near the same way every single time. And that's how he does his thing, as opposed to, you know, any band that's more improvisational where it's like you have to hear the other people in order to, because you're playing off one another. He's not really playing off of, you know, he's like, that's what it is. That's what he's saying. He's not playing off of Geddy and Alex. He's not, the only way he has to do with keeping everything in time. That's how he's playing off of them. But that's not like, there are no like musical ideas. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if he's not hearing them in any kind of way, he's just hearing his drums and he's hearing tempo cues, basically. Timing cues. Something that I was wondering is, they don't play to a click, but do they start songs with a click? How do they know the tempo to start at? Because if they're hitting triggers throughout the song, the triggers are at a time, right? They're timed. They have a certain time. I assume it's the same each time. It doesn't just like speed up because they're playing the song slightly faster, slower, or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say? So do they start? Maybe they start the songs with a click, is what I'm wondering, so that they know where the tempo at least starts. You know, there's some kind of idea of where they're at, so that when they hit that trigger that starts some keyboard pattern that is automated, right? It's already there. No one's actually playing it. They're just triggering it. That thing is playing in time, in whatever their time is. So, but if they're playing the song slower, then, you know, or are they basically on, and then like once the thing hits, they're like kind of adjusting within that? You know, you get what I'm saying? That's my question, I guess. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean, of course, all these people want, you know, are musicians. It doesn't make sense to have a roadie that didn't have a background in music. That kind of doesn't make sense. You know, I don't have a background in music. I have a background in just pushing things and setting up cable things and you know, like lifting heavy objects, and that's all I've ever done is push things around and lift heavy objects that have cables attached to it. And roadieing works for me. It's like no, they all play instruments. Of course they do. Of course they do. Yeah, it doesn't always. And then he's saying that, like, you know, if he was talented enough to be a rock star, he would be one. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't work that way. You know, it doesn't work that way. It does not. You can have all the talent in the world and still not make it. There's tons of those people, and also making it means different things. So it's just not like that. But yeah. You know, you can be incredible, but nobody may want to hear what you're doing or your output or whatever it is. Maybe you're stylistically not doing something that is as popular or whatever. You know, there are all kinds of examples. There are fantastic people. You know, I mean, I always think about that song For Free, right? Joni Mitchell, For Free. You know, the guy that's playing on the corner for free, basically, and she's just playing these big, getting paid, you know, to play these concert halls and all this kind of thing. But there's like people, I mean, there's a zillion videos on YouTube of street performers who are really great. You know, I mean, I saw a video of that bass player, what's his name, Charles Berthold. I don't know how to say his last name. I'm sorry. The big YouTube guy, right? Where he is playing at a Faneuil Hall. Was it Faneuil Hall? Yeah, that's where he was. He was at Faneuil Hall. Yeah, where he's playing on the street at Faneuil Hall, and it's like, you see that guy? He's great at playing bass. You know, like he's very entertaining. It's wild. Just all of his different techniques. I mean, he's huge on YouTube. Street performer. Right? You know, I mean, I've questioned that guy before in terms of like, okay, like, yeah, he's incredible, but like, can he play in a band? Because you know how I am. I'm very like that kind of thing. I've always played in bands. I'm not like a solo musician, even though, yeah, I'm not like a solo musician that kind of way. I like to interact in a band. That's the kind of bass player that I am. I just prefer that. But my point, it's not about that. It's not about what he's talking about. It's not just like, if I, you know, was that good. I mean, you know, maybe he sucks. So there's that. And he knows that. And that's why he's saying that. It's like, no. I just wasn't talented enough. But a lot of those people, that's what I'm saying. A lot of those people, they think, if I was just talented enough to do this, I would have been able to make it. It's like, it's not that easy. It's not, it doesn't always have to do with that. Yeah, you know, like luck, right place, right time, right, you know, like there's a lot of things, just so much. It's just, you know, life ain't like that. It's just not like that. So anyways, cool, we're almost done with this. Part 6 coming up. We're getting to it. I'll see you in the next video.